Welcome to The Journey of One, a special series of the Dog Ate My Meeple podcast focusing on the love for solo role-playing games. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Dog Ate My Meeple podcast, and today we are starting with something very different because this is the first episode in a new series of episodes called A Journey of One. In this series, I'll be exploring solo role-playing games and journaling games of all different types and kinds, some of which you may have heard of, others which you may be unfamiliar with. And throughout the different episodes, I'll be looking at different games that, you can play on your own. And I don't particularly look at board games because technically all board games can be played solo, you can always play for both players, so we'll be focusing solely on journaling games and role-playing games in this series. And today, to start off with the first episode, we'll be looking at Alone Among the Stars by Takuma Okada. That's a game that you can get for technically free, or you can pay whatever you want, on itch. And if you want to find the website, just go to noroadhome.itch.io, and over there you will be able to find the game itself. Realistically, that's a PDF with just 4 pages, but it's all you need to be able to tell interesting stories. Okay, so after sharing with you my thoughts and opinions and doing some sort of review of the game, I'm going to do short, like a dramatized reading or a short audio drama based on my adventure with Alone Among the Stars. In Alone Among the Stars, you are a solitary adventurer jumping around different planets, flying through space on your spaceship, and discovering and exploring new worlds. As you do that, each world will have different unique features that you can discover, and with certain prompts being given to you, you pretty much write them down in your ship's log. Think of it as a journal entry or literally ship's log, like in Star Trek series, for example. What exactly do we find and how many different elements are there for us to discover? That's all going to be represented by cards from your typical basic deck of cards. Okay, so how do we play the game? Well, all you need is your keyboard and a Word document or a pen and paper. To find a new planet, you simply roll a d6. Again, you can use a roller online, and the result will indicate how many different cards you put face down. These are different things that will be discoverable or will be worth or possible to explore for us. That's the best way to put it. So we decide to discover something or explore. Well, we simply flip a card over, and that's really it. Based on the card suit and the value, we'll be deciding on what exactly, and the game itself gives us a table that gives us the detail on what we found. Now, for each discovery, we can also roll a die, and that will tell us how did we manage to find it, whether the path over there was dangerous and perhaps difficult for us. Maybe that was something we found while we were chilling around and just enjoying the views, and we noticed something on the horizon. So the game gives us a bit of kind of like a starting point to the story. The suit and the rank, like I mentioned a moment ago, determine the actual discovery. So the ship's log will be writing down a short description, and generally the game advises us to write down a short reaction of ours to that thing we just discovered. Every single time you look at a card, you will look at what it is. So depending whether we get diamonds, clubs, hearts or spades, we will find something different. For example, diamonds are living beings, so actual creatures. Clubs are all other forms of life, like plants and anything else you can think of, mushrooms, some ferns, weeds, etc. Hearts generally represent ruins. That may be some mysterious obelisk, some ruins of a old building, or perhaps destroyed spaceship, anything you want over there. While spades represent some natural phenomena, so whether that's going to be some beautiful rock formations, whether it's going to be a lava pool, or perhaps some weird environmental things happening, some weird phenomena like it was in my case. So that's basically based on the suit. Then, depending on the value, it tells us kind of where do we find it. So we might get let's say a 4, and that tells us that we found it in a steep canyon. If we manage to get a 10, that might be on a cliff face, or with ace, it might be in a field that's taller than us. So we can see that there is quite a lot of different things that we can randomize as we play the game. And then again, because the dice roll in the very beginning tells us how many different objects we can discover, we have a number of discoveries available for us, or explorable, that's the better way to put it, set for us. Once we explore one planet fully, or we decide that we are bored with this planet and we move to another, we pretty much finish our entry for that particular planet. We can name the planet however we wish, because that's ours to do, because we just discovered it, and then we start the whole process again. We roll the dice again to see how many things we will be able to explore on a new planet. We put the cards face down, and again, we discover another thing. So, like I said, it's not a difficult game to play, and if you are into creative writing, that might be just that perfect exercise, especially if you are trying to write something science fiction that gives you kind of like an interesting way to put some things to paper and start writing. I myself have 3 separate planet entries, and in a moment, like I mentioned, I'll do like a short audio drama based on that, and hopefully you will enjoy that. But that will give you an idea of how the game really helps you write something interesting. It's very often, for people who don't know journaling games or aren't familiar with it, they hardly see much of a game in them, because realistically it's a bunch of prompts that help you write a short story. And yes, that's exactly what they are, but it is the gamified approach to it. It's the prompts and how they work and how we get this. There's kind of semi-randomized mechanics of it. That's what makes it a game for us. And I myself started with journaling games some time ago. I've even written one, and I'm sure at a certain point I will do an episode of my own as well. But this one, Alone Among the Stars, it's already in its 2nd iteration on itch, and it's clearly very popular. I think it has almost 200 reviews and still stands strong at 5 stars, showing you that people do love that game, and many of people who tried it out found it, well, good enough to actually go there, maybe make an account and leave a review. And we know that on itch it doesn't happen that often, especially for a game of that type. So that's really it. That's Alone Among the Stars. You travel through a vast universe of different planets that you get to name. On each planet you will discover different things, be it an ancient ruin, be it a new creature that you've never seen before, or be it simply a strange cloud emanating thunders of colors you've never dreamt of. The world is yours to explore, and you can decide how much time you want to spend with it. You want to do 10-minute daily exercise in writing? That's a perfect way to do it. You want to kind of write a novella, let's say, based on something as simple as this? You can. There isn't any problem with doing that in this way. That works just fine. So if you ever wanted to give a go to journaling games, try them out and see what they are and how they play, I think that Alone Among the Stars is a great way to do it. It's a great entry game because it's very simple but provides you with enough prompts to actually write something interesting relatively quickly. As we go through this series, you will learn that there are others more complicated games, but we'll get to them at a different time. Though in the meantime, Alone Among the Stars is one game that I would definitely recommend you to check out. There will be a link in the description to it, so feel free to go and check it out. And for those of you who perhaps would like to try some collaborative writing, there is a cooperative version of the game, Together Among the Stars, in which you and a friend of yours can write the shared stories together. I haven't checked that game out yet, but I'm quite sure, based on the success of this one, that it will be as good as the single-player version. And with that, thanks for listening to this episode. It's likely rather short, but as I said, in a moment you will have the dubious pleasure of listening to what I've written in my 3 planets I visited when I was traveling alone among the stars. Thanks for listening, and I hope you'll enjoy the little audio drama segment that's starting just about now.
Planet 545.
The landing is quite rocky and the turbulence is getting stronger, but nothing compared to my last landing on the exoplanet Z985. I open the door and go out. That bloody hiss of the depressurization scares me every time. Okay, hatch is now open, going into the LZ. Interesting. By the cliff over there. A whirlwind of what seems to be electricity and stone shards had suddenly appeared by the cliff. It's unlike anything else I've ever seen. It's definitely not something we've got on Zeta 492. I don't think it would be wise to approach it closer, but it's definitely worth taking a note for the ship's computer. We may be able to send a probe later and see what's the composition of that phenomenon. It's fascinating, but I guess best seen from afar. At least for now. After a whole day of exploring this small planet, there isn't much to see here. The odd phenomenon is the only thing worth of note, so I decided to go to the next planet. It's relatively close, so the travel shouldn't be too difficult.
Planet 471.
The planet's surface is mostly rocky, and if not for the exosuit I'm wearing, I'd be a walking corpse on fire. The temperatures are off the charts, and even with the protection that the exosuit offers, it's still getting toasty in here. It does not surprise me, however, that the living organisms on this planet are rock-like in nature. For all I know, this would be unrecognizable from the volcanic rocks we have on Zeta 492. Let me get my binoculars and get a closer look. Okay, I can see it clearly now. The creature has a hard rock skin covered in what seems to be small thin plates made of slate. It's onyx black in colour and shines brightly in the red of the nearby volcanic eruptions and lava pools. It has 6 legs, 3 on each side of the body, similarly to Earth's spider. It's much bigger though, and crawls at a much slower pace. It is possible that the creature is covered in volcanic rock, hence its inability to move quickly. Oh, the head. The head looks like a misshapen rock the size of a large dog. There are clear mandibles sticking out in front. They seem to be made of sharp rocks that look almost like needles pointing outwards, likely giving protection should anything else try to attack it. It crawls slowly. It's stomp heavy, cracks appearing on the floor with every step. I've made a short recording of it and will continue my research on board. It's getting too hot on the surface. After taking a day to research the first creature, nicknamed Crawler, I decided to go and explore the surface further. I moved the ship to a different biome on a different side of the planet and found another creature. It is as fascinating as the first one, but very different in its entirety. This creature walks on 4 legs with visible suction cups on each end. It doesn't have any fingers or claws that I can distinguish. It's a single appendage ended with a large suction cup. I found it by hot springs and geysers north from the volcanic rocks from the first day. I am not sure how it manages to survive the heat without the rocky cover like the crawler, because its skin seems to be so thin, almost see-through. I would say I can recognize the shape of its internal organs through the thin skin. It's a bit creepy, I must say. It's now moving towards the water. There is a small river nearby. The water is hot, as I can see the vapor rising from it. The creature doesn't seem to mind though, and it moves closer with a speed and surprising grace. It's getting closer. Oh, it's walking on the water right now. It seems that the suction cups are not only used when moving, but allow the creature to drink the water while also staying on its surface. This is incredible. I've never seen anything like it. As it drinks, it starts growing in size. It's filling itself with water, and with every second it grows, it starts descending underwater. Bloody hell. I'm glad I managed to record this for the log. I have to review this footage. By now the creature is fully submerged and is no longer visible. I wonder what the xenobiologists of Zeta 492 will say about that.
Planet 6105.
After researching the geekox, as that's the moniker the odd creature received, I decided to move forward and landed on a new planet. To my surprise, it was not another life form I found this time, but what remains of such. Travelling in my rover, I noticed a tall structure by the cliffs. A ruin of what looks like a tower stands there, forgotten by time and bitten by its tooth. I am not sure what materials it is made of, but clearly the structure did not withstand the test of time. It is overgrown with lush flora of this planet. I am walking through the main entrance now, or should I say what's left of it. The walls are mostly gone, with few strongest standing still, tall and proud. There are some symbols drawn on the walls. Let me have a closer look. From each symbol, a line of different colour leads somewhere off to disappear at a broken piece of a wall. Looking at the rubble, I can clearly see that there were 4 colours, even though they aren't that vivid now. They were painted on the walls. Not unlike our ships, the colour coding seems to have been used to indicate a path to a particular sector of the building. Strangely familiar. The language in which this is written, or the xenosymbology, is unfamiliar to me, so I'm uncertain whether I'd be able to identify any particular culture of the ones from the ship's catalogue. However, I've taken a number of pictures and will run them through the database on the ship's computer. Perhaps she can find something useful. If this is a new, unidentified language, I'll have to go back and report it immediately to HQ on Zeta 492. They'll definitely want to know about this. It's fascinating.
End of the logs.
Thanks for listening to the first episode of The Journey of One, and I hope you enjoyed the little audio drama bit at the end. If you liked it, I'm more than happy to try and do more of these with the future games we'll be reviewing. And with that, thank you very much for listening, and till next time.